And hello, I think we're there. This is Claire Yosa bringing you the February Q&A all about meditation and mindfulness. And I hope you've had a fantastic month. I've got some great questions that have already been submitted via the forums today. And if you have any of your own, if you're looking at this straight on the Google Hangouts page, there'll be a question box on the side that you can fill in your questions, and I will do my best to fit them in at the end if we have time. So, are you ready? Can everybody hear me? Otherwise, it's going to be a really quiet session. So let's make a start. I am going to pull up today's presentation and hopefully you will now be able to see this. Yay! So, all about meditation and mindfulness. So I wanted to start with a quote, that meditation isn't something you do, it's something you are. And we get caught up so often on how do I meditate? Meditation is actually a way of being. It's a state of mind. It's a state of connecting. The more we try and do meditation, the further away we move from it. It's a journey. And the questions I've had today have been so helpful. I'm really hoping they're going to help lots of you. But if you can just bear in mind throughout this, it is something that you are. It's reconnecting with you rather than something that you do. So, who am I? If you don't, my name is Claire Yosa. I'm a formally trained meditation teacher. I'm a certified NLP trainer, which means I know a huge amount about your monkey mind and my monkey mind and the tricks it likes to play. I'm the author of 4 published books, including 2 about meditation and mindfulness. I'm a reformed engineer, so that means I love the ancient wisdom. I also love to demystify it into practical stuff that you can do today. And I'm a busy mum of 3 young boys, so when we talk about time excuses, I know them, I use them. And I am passionate about turning the ancient wisdom into things that you can do today in less time than it takes a kettle to boil. So let's dive in. The first one, thank you, Beth, for this one. I'm simply not sure where to start with meditation. I hear this one so often, and that's absolutely fine. Where do you start? I'd like to start with a confession. I was meditating for 15 to 20 years before I trained to become a professional meditation teacher. And it was only during that training I realized I had never meditated before. Everything I'd done over the previous decades had been about deep relaxation and guided visualizations. So I'm pretty sure your learning curve is going to be shorter than mine was. I sincerely hope it is. And with Beth's question, where do you start? Well, let's start by doing a really simple 60-second meditation. I call this one, Have You Forgotten How to Breathe? So pause whatever you're doing and do not listen to this and do it while you're driving or operating machinery. Just take a moment to sit however you're sitting, to allow your back to lengthen slightly, your shoulders to relax, and then notice your breathing. Become aware of where your breath is. Are you breathing at shoulder level, throat level, chest level, or in your belly? And the healthiest way to breathe, if you have a healthy body, is around the belly level. The diaphragm goes down, expanding the lungs, drawing in the air, and the diaphragm goes back up, compressing the lungs, pushing out the old, stale air. Very few of us breathe this way. Most of us are using the intercostal muscles on our chests to breathe instead of our diaphragm. So, my invitation to you, while I'm waffling away, is to move your breathing down to that area between your belly button and the base of your rib cage. And this is not the time for ironing board stomachs. This is the time for, as you breathe in, everything gets bigger. And as you breathe out, everything gets smaller. And for the next few moments, just sit and rest, noticing what you notice about your breathing. And if your attention wanders, that's fine. Bring it back to your breathing. When you're ready, preparing to release that miniature meditation. A deep breath, a yawn, and a sigh. And maybe a stretch. So there you go, breath. That is how to start with meditation. If you can breathe, you can meditate. Everything else, frankly, is fluff. So I hope that's answered your question, is where do you start? We're going to be talking a lot more about things that will help you best throughout the rest of the Q&A today. So thank you very much for your question. I hope you found that a useful start. Our next question comes from Emily. I'm totally sleep deprived. So as soon as I sit to meditate, I fall asleep instead. What can I do? We've all been there and done that. I remember when I was training to become a meditation teacher, my husband Peter was on the same course, and he was famous for what we called his nodding dog impressions. As soon as we would sit to meditate, within seconds, he would be asleep. He was so tired. He was working full-time in London with a really long commute. And our meditation master told us a story about an executive who came to see him for meditation mentoring. And this guy, he couldn't sit still. He didn't have enough energy. He was so tired. And my mentor actually sent him away. And we were really shocked. But the thing is, meditation actually takes a lot of energy. And if you're too tired to meditate, it's not going to work. There are mindfulness techniques you can do instead, and we'll cover some of those later this evening. But what my meditation mentor made this guy do was actually go off and do 3 to 6 months of deep relaxation every night to rebuild his energy levels. Because if you're too tired, you can't stay awake, you're not going to meditate. You close your eyes, you're going to sleep. If as soon as you go to meditate, you fall asleep, don't meditate. Do a deep relaxation. One of those tense and release relaxations, there are some of them on my website for you, where you physically release the tension in the body and then the mind and then in your energy body. And that will really recharge your batteries. Don't fight to meditate when you're exhausted. You will only end up beating yourself up. So there are 3 keys to meditation. The first one is actually relaxation. You cannot meditate if you're tense. It's why when I'm running a workshop, I don't get people to come straight in from their commute to sit down and meditate. It's not going to work. You have to prepare the body. You have to release the tension. You have to release the stress. The next step is acceptance. If you're not accepting what's happening around you, all that's going to happen is you're going to feed that monkey mind chatter. And the more the monkey mind chatters, the harder it's going to be to meditate. I remember meditating once in a beautiful Welsh valley where they have fighter jets that periodically go overhead on their practices. And you're sitting there in a fantastic meditation. It's really easy to get wound up as this incredibly loud noise goes overhead. It took me quite a while to realize that was actually an invitation to practice acceptance. And if acceptance doesn't resonate for you, you could think about being okay with what's happening. And the third step is then concentration and focus. So meditation is about a balance of being relaxed but alert and then concentrating on something. Like we did just now, we focused on our breathing. Your posture is really important. One of the reasons I realized I'd never meditated before is half the meditations I'd done had been lying down. Now, lying down is actually a posture for deep relaxation, not for meditation. So if you lie down, your body's pretty well anchored into, I'm lying down, I have permission to go to sleep. If you lie down and you close your eyes and you're tired, you are going to sleep. When I teach meditation, I teach it sitting up most of the time. because then you can get the spine aligned so that you balance the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous systems. Now, the parasympathetic is that relaxation response, and the sympathetic is the stress response. It's where it kicks in the adrenaline. You want the two balanced to give you that relaxed alertness. If you have them out of balance, you're going to fall asleep. So here are some posture points that would really help. If you imagine, you want to start with your sitting bones slightly above your knees, and these posture points work equally well if you're sitting on a chair, which is actually the best way for many people to meditate. Once you're sitting, imagine you've got a golden cord pulling through the crown of your head, gently lengthening your spine, vertebra by vertebra, all the way through. And as it lifts even the neck and the head, you tuck the chin slightly under, which releases tension in the neck. You make sure your shoulders are relaxed. You slightly lift the sternum, the front of the chest. That gives you a tiny arch in the back if that's comfortable for you, which is what helps balance those two nervous systems. Your hands rest on your knees or in your lap. Your eyes are usually softly closed. It helps you concentrate. And it's okay to smile. Now, if you sit like that, you're much more likely to stay awake than if you're slouched, which means that the parasympathetic nervous system is winning. And if your back is too arched and too stiff and your shoulders are all up by your ears, pretending to be Pat Butcher earrings, then you're going to find it really hard to do the stage one of meditation, which is relaxing. When I'm teaching, for example, my 10-week online program, we go into posture in quite a lot of detail. We will look at different places to meditate. We'll look at whether you're sitting on a chair, even to the extent of cushions and props and shawls. And for me, even the yellow pages, because I'm quite short, so you don't want dangling legs. The worst place you can meditate is an armchair, one of these great big comfy things that just sort of cuddles you in a lounge, because it's really hard for you to keep your back straight. If you're going to meditate on a chair, something like a wooden dining room chair with a cushion is one of the best ways, because you want something that's not too comfortable because you don't want to fall asleep, but you don't want it so uncomfortable that you can't do the concentration part of your meditation. So I really hope that's helped. I hope it's answered your question, Emily. That's one of the major reasons why people fall asleep when they meditate. They're too tired and they actually need to relax instead, or you need to handle your posture. I've got a bonus article for you as well. The links are on the replay page, the link to which will be below this video. Are you wasting your time trying to meditate? It explains some of the times when actually meditation is the last thing that you should be considering doing. And I hope you find it useful. So question number 3, thank you, from Alison. This one is so common. I can't stop my brain whirring and thoughts intruding and distracting me. And I'm wondering if you've ever had that experience when you've tried to meditate, is as soon as you sit still, your monkey mind suddenly goes totally crazy and wants to do everything it can to distract you. Suddenly your to-do list is so important, it couldn't possibly leave you in peace. If that's the case, this question is for you. So this is the #1 meditation myth. And in fact, in my book, The 28-Day Meditation Challenge, it's actually the very first thing we cover on the first of the 28 days. I can't shut up my mind. I've used this excuse myself. I can't meditate because I can't shut up my mind. So I'm going to let you in on a secret. Not many people can. And if you had to be able to shut up your mind to be able to meditate, there wouldn't be many meditators left in the world. There are different ways of saying this myth. I don't have an off switch for my brain. My mind is too chattering. My mind multitasks. I can't meditate if I can't make my mind go quiet. And as soon as I sit still, my mind takes over. If you've used any of these, or if you've got different wording yourself, I'd love to hear from you via the questions and chat function on this video. And if you're watching the replay, please let me know via the comments. Do you do any of these? Do you use these excuses? Do you say this to yourself? Does this put you off from meditating? I would love to hear from you. So you don't have to make your mind go silent to benefit from meditation. In fact, meditation is one of the processes that allows you to quieten your mind. So really, it's the other way round. Learning to meditate is what helps your mind go silent. Have we busted that myth? I've got a bonus article for you as well. Is it finally time to bust the #1 meditation myth? Again, the link will be below the replay, on the replay page. This is a really helpful article to help you see how this particular myth, which is received wisdom, can stop you from being able to meditate. I mean, for goodness sake, if you imagine having to set yourself the pinnacle of I have to make my mind go silent to be a successful meditator, it's no wonder that so many people give up on meditating. So please don't let that one get in the way. And there are so many techniques I could share with you on how to handle your thoughts getting in the way, how to calm and quieten your monkey mind, how to allow your mind to relax, how to choose which thoughts to feed. And I do share them in my courses. I haven't really got time to go into them right now. But the fact is, you can manage your monkey mind. You can turn down the volume, you can slow it down, you can change its pitch, you can change its tone of voice. But when you're meditating, remember that second stage is all about acceptance. Accepting your monkey mind, that chattering voice, that inner critic for what it is, without feeding it, without diving into the drama, is one of the things that will set you free to really get those deeper benefits from meditation. So for now, please just bear in mind, Alison, you are completely normal and it's completely okay. And even after all these years, there are some days where I sit to meditation and all I get is a soliloquy from my monkey mind. There are other days where it knows it's not going to get indulged and it just goes off and shuts up. But all of us have days where it still runs riot, and that's okay. Meditation is the tool that will help you to calm it. You don't have to calm it before you can learn to meditate. Thinking is just a habit, and meditation takes practice. So I hope that's helped with your question, Alison. The fourth question I've had today, thank you to Andre, is I feel I don't have enough time. And I'm laughing because I've used this excuse so often and I still catch myself doing it now. So I'd like to share with you a story about Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who is probably one of the busiest people on the planet. And allegedly, there was a reporter who interviewed him trying to catch him out about praying. And praying is kind of akin to meditation, depending on your religious beliefs. But that quiet time of reconnecting with something that's bigger than your mind. This journalist was trying to catch Archbishop Desmond Tutu out by saying, so you're really, really busy. And how much time each day do you pray? And Desmond Tutu paused. And he reflected, and he really shocked this journalist. He said, well, you know how busy I am. And in fact, to get everything done, and we all know what the journalist was expecting, I cannot pray for less than 2 hours a day. Which blew the journalist away. Now, I figure if Archbishop Desmond Tutu can find hours a day to pray, I can find 10 minutes a day to meditate, because whichever stories I tell myself, I know I'm not as busy as he is. But we still use this time excuse. It feels very real to us. So here are some antidotes. It is the #1 excuse I hear from people. When people come to me and we're talking about courses and workshops and retreats or online courses, the #1 reason they give for not making that change in their lives is they don't have enough time. And often I'm only talking about 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes. which really isn't so long, but we convince ourselves that this excuse is so valid that we couldn't possibly meditate. So how do you find the time to meditate? Here are some ideas. 1, get it in your diary. If your boss suddenly turned around to you on Monday morning and said, right, every day this week, you're going to have to do 10 minutes of X, Y, Z, you would get it done. If it's in your diary, it's real. If it's not in your diary, it's a pretend, or at best a maybe. 2, it's time to look in the mirror. What do you really spend or waste your time on in a typical day? Is there anything that could give that would allow you to take 10 minutes for yourself? And there may be some limiting beliefs and fears around that taking 10 minutes for yourself, and I can help you deal with them. But what is it in your day that you could do 10 minutes less of that would allow you that 10 minutes to sit and reconnect? You might be surprised. For a lot of us, it'll be the internet and Facebook and television. Now, I want to really challenge you here. You are already brilliant at handling interruptions and finding time for the unexpected. How do I know? Because I am guessing you have had the experience of somebody ringing the doorbell when you were really busy and you've had to stop everything for 10 minutes and handle that interruption. Or the phone goes and you have to do the same. Or the kids come in, or your boss comes in, or your partner comes in, or the dog spilt something on the floor. This stuff happens. And we still get everything done. We are so good at being flexible and adaptable and almost making time stretch somehow. I don't know how that works. But when we feel it's just something that's just got to happen, it happens. You are brilliant at finding time for the unexpected. So my invitation to you is to plan in that 10 minutes. And then treat it as non-negotiable. Get it in your diary, make the commitment. 10 minutes. Most of us could really find that in a day if we tried. Believe me, I've been a mum of 3 young kids. I've even been a single mum of 2 of them. And I know how hard it can be to find the time. I also know how good I was at making excuses for not finding the time. It was almost a badge of honor. So I'm inviting you to be really truthful with yourselves. Could you find 10 minutes a day if you convinced yourself of the benefits? And finally, you can find types of meditation that actually work for you. It doesn't have to be about sitting still and silent sitting. You might find that some of the mindfulness exercises are much better, like mindful walking and mindful breathing. Even there's a lovely exercise I teach called tasting your tea. And even that, it's something that you would be doing anyway. If you do it mindfully, that's a form of meditation. You are going back into that form of being rather than doing. So if you have totally convinced yourself that 10 minutes a day is impossible, and I'm happy to accept that for you, look at other types of meditation that would work for you around the activities that you're already doing. And I'd love you to be honest. Could you find the time? And how could you find the time? If you're listening to this live, please let me know via the Q&A. And if you're listening to the replay, let me know via the comments box below. What could you do today to find 10 minutes to meditate? What support might you need? What could you drop off your to-do list? And what would it take for you to make that commitment to yourself and to your future? I would love to hear from you on this. There's so much more I'd love to share with you on this. It's the biggest thing that comes up on pretty much every course I run. And I actually even run an entire 4-week video program on how to find the time to change your life. If you really want to dive in and learn how to meditate, I do run a 10-week online course, which people have found incredibly helpful, and they find it making a massive difference for them as early as the first week. Absolutely no pressure. I'm just letting you know it's there. And I've got a bonus article there as well, all about chocolate. And then this comes into the time, because if you're a chocolate lover or a cup of tea lover, something that you're already doing, you can find ways it can help you learn to meditate. The link to the bonus article is below the replay. Question number 5, thank you to Helen for this one. This one is really, really useful. How do I actually create the ongoing meditation habit? Now, Helen was explaining that she already understands the benefits of meditation. She knows how to do it, but every time it's the habit that breaks down. So I'm really, really pleased that she raised this today. And I want to share with you a quote from one of my gratitude programs. This is actually a free 30-day program that I run. Inspiration gives us the idea. Motivation gets us started, but it's routine and habit that create the change. So you can be inspired to make a start, and you can be motivated to really dive in. But what changes your life is dull and boring routine. And in fact, in ancient Sanskrit, they've got a special word for this called abhyasa. And I like to translate that as keeping going even when you're not in the mood. Because if you can keep a habit going when you frankly can't be bothered that day, then you know it's a real habit. Putting in that extra effort, making that commitment to yourself, but also looking at what is it that maybe is blocking that habit. What is it that you're resisting? What is it you're worried about? What is it that you think you might lose if you go ahead with that new habit? By looking at what's derailing us and dealing with that, then creating the habit becomes really, really easy. So how to create your meditation habit? Well, firstly, we've done this one. Get it in your diary and stop compromising. You are worth it. If it's not in your diary, it's not real. The next one, this one I really love. Know your big why. When we know why we want to do something, it makes our choices easy. And if you can answer the question, I choose to meditate because. I choose to meditate because. That's your big why. And if it's only a little why, you can ask yourself the next question, which is, well, what does that do for me? And keep asking yourself until you get to something that's big enough that you go, actually, yeah, I want that. When you've got your big why and you've cranked it up and you're sat there with the choice between an extra 10 minutes of television or really reaching this big why, the big why becomes a much easier choice. When we know why we want to do something, choosing to do it is easier. Even when we're in the abhyasa phase of having to keep going when we're not in the mood, if your big why is strong enough, you will get there. And then you can rope in some help here. I talk a lot about the future you. So this is the you that's made these choices in the future, that's looking back going, hell yeah, that was the right thing to do. This is the you that has got all those benefits. So from the point of view of meditation, it's the you that feels less stressed, that feels more inspired, that feels happier, that's got better relationships, that's got more clarity. That you is looking at the you on the sofa going, you are getting up off your backside and going to your meditation space. Because if you don't, I don't get to exist. Yeah. And if you need to help yourself create the meditation habit, just suspend the whole rational thing and imagine you could go and have a chat with that future you. What would that future you say to you right now as you're saying, I don't have time for 10 minutes? Would that future you agree? And if you really need to crank this up, you can go and do the 80th birthday test, where you zoom forwards in time to your 80th birthday, or at least 10 years from now, and imagine you're looking back at you in the now and give yourself some advice. What would that future you say to the you that's using the blocks and the excuses and the worries and the fears to avoid doing something that your big why says you really want to do? Now, It might feel like I'm cranking that up quite hard, but you know you want to meditate, because otherwise you wouldn't be watching this webinar. And I know you can meditate because I know how to make it really easy for you, both the how to meditate and do mindfulness, and also how to create the habit. So all you need to do is convince yourself of your big why and allow the future you to be your biggest cheerleader. And then everything else melts away, and it's easy. Ish. So bringing it back into the present moment, it really helps to team up with others who are creating the habit too, so that you can hold each other accountable. And it doesn't matter whether these are friends you see every day or people on Facebook and Twitter. What matters is doing the journey alone. Yeah, meditating alone is fine, but sharing the whole, hey, it went really well today, or I don't know what I did wrong today, sharing that with others and supporting other people, it somehow makes it more real and tangible, and it brings it into your physical. It also means if you're doing that day where you think, you know what, an extra 10 minutes on the internet, I'm not going to meditate today, I'm too tired. If you know that your accountability partners are going to hold you accountable, it's easier for you to get that abhyasa to keep going when you're not in the mood. And when you are in the mood and it goes brilliantly, there are people you can share it with who really get where you're at. So those are some of my top tips. And then there's also a bonus article for you. 6 secrets for training your family to help you meditate. I call it getting your family and your support team meditation fit. Because if you're about to create a new habit, then the people around you, be it your family, your work colleagues, your friends, you need them to support you in creating that new habit. This article, and the link is on the replay page, this article talks you through 6 different ways you can help them to understand what's important to you and why. And you will be really surprised. In almost all cases, if you ask for that support, it will come. And frankly, if you ask for the support and it doesn't come, you need to look at that relationship. But that's a whole other webinar. So I'm hoping that that's been helpful for you, Helen, and I hope that's helped you create the habit. I've got time to answer one more quick question this evening. I've got one on the card that's come up earlier in this webinar today. If any of the rest of you have got a question, now is your last chance. No? Okay, I'm going to go with the one that came up earlier. I was asked by Zoe, what is your #1 piece of advice for somebody starting out on their meditation journey? So I'm glad this was asked earlier in the webinar, because it's given me a chance to think about it, because I could give you about 3 gazillion pieces of advice. My #1 piece of advice would be just do it. Just go and do it. No expectations, no judgment, just sit and just watch your breathing. And notice what you notice. And keep doing it. It's so important to do it regularly. It's so much easier to do it if you actually just sit down and do it. And if you need help and if you want to work with a group, that's brilliant, but just do it. Don't put it off until you found the perfect course. Don't put it off until you found the perfect workshop or the perfect teacher or the perfect meditation cushion or just the right shade of shawl. That's all fear-based monkey mind excuses. They're all okay, but none of them are valid. Just do it. You can do this. I know you can. And the fact you've got this far on the webinar means you know you can too. So that's my #1 piece of advice, Zoe. Just meditate. So I'd like to finish, or almost finish, with an extra technique that's called the vertical alignment breath. So remembering that posture earlier, feeling a cord pulling up through your spine, all the way through the crown of your head, letting the shoulders relax, the chin tucked gently in, and that smile on your face. For the next few moments, imagine you're breathing in from the earth beneath you, all the way up to your chest. And as you breathe out through the crown of your head into the sky. Breathe in through the crown of your head to your heart, and out all the way down your body to the earth. And keep going with this cycle, breathing in through the earth to the chest, out through the crown to the sky, in through the crown to the chest, and out into the earth. For the next few moments, continue at your own pace. Then whenever your breath gets to the heart and chest area, just let it settle there. Preparing to release the practice. Give yourself a little stretch and a shake and a jiggle and a yawn. We've done a tiny, tiny amount of that meditation this evening, but now you know the technique. You can go off and do it anytime you like. So if you're ready to take your meditation journey to the next level, and I'm really hoping that the live Q&A this evening has helped you. If you want to join me for our 10-week course, the link is on the screen now. I love it because I get to take you each week through a new module where we combine learning to meditate with also how to create the habit. And the bit I love the most is we actually get to work together because I have a private Facebook group for this course. So you get that support, you get that peer support, you get the camaraderie, you get answers to your questions. It's not like you're sitting in a room on your own. And for me, that's so important. And if it's important to you, I invite you to join us. It would be wonderful to share the journey with you. It's also completely fine if that's not where you're at yet. If you want to go solo and do your own version of meditation or find a local course, that's fantastic. You would still be welcome to come and join us in our private Facebook group. And the link to join us is www.clairejosa.com/updates. Then you can get membership of the group and you can still share the journey with us. And then I've got a sneak preview of something really exciting I'm launching soon called Mindful Mondays, which means every Monday morning you're going to get to start your week the right way with a snippet of something to inspire you on mindfulness and meditation each week. It's not quite ready to launch yet, so make sure you're on my mailing list and getting my updates. The link's just the one above, the updates link. And then I will make sure you're one of the first people to hear about it. So final thought for you today. Today's choices create your tomorrows. Could you make choices that inspire you? Only you know what inspires you. I would love to hear what inspires you, and maybe I could tempt you to share via the comments. I will read all of them and feedback, and yeah, I'd love to share the journey with you if that's what feels right to you. So that's us done. That's tonight's Q&A. I hope you found it useful, and if you're watching the replay, I'd love to hear how you got on via the comments on the replay page, and I'd love to connect. Thank you, and I'll be back next month with another live Q&A. I hope you have a fantastic month.